Hello, Superior YMCA. I am Jen, your Health and Wellness Director, and I'm here with Ashley and Jill. How are we doing this morning, ladies?
Good. Good.
Doing good. I can see some sunshine coming in through my window desk here, so it's going to be a good day. It was beautiful with some nice warm weather, so that's kind of nice. So today we are going to talk about rest and recovery, which I think I sometimes get a lot of questions about this too, like building in rest days into your workouts and how do you recover. And so we're going to kind of talk about all those bases for you guys today, what we do on our rest days or our recovery days. They are few and far between, to be honest, but we do try to factor them in, I'm sure, a little bit into our schedule. So, Jill, what do you kind of do on your rest days, or how many rest days a week do you try to give yourself?
Some days it could be a whole week of resting or it could be like a few days of resting because I don't know, where sometimes I lose my motivation, but usually it's like 1 or 2 days that I do kind of like a recovery day. I try not to take like a full day off of doing nothing. So I kind of would either do, yoga or just like walk, just something to keep me moving, but it wouldn't be like, weightlifting or cardio or anything crazy like that. But usually I try to stick with 1 to 2 days, not my week, period.
How about you, Ashley?
Yeah, the same. Usually like 1 or 2 days, kind of depending on the time of year and just kind of what's going on. But trying to, obviously when we're teaching a ton of classes, trying to build those in a way that's like helpful and efficient, because I know for me it can be hard if like you're going 5 days a week or 6 days a week, super hardcore. And then it's like, oh, I want to do my own workout on day 7. Like that's not necessarily going to be the best thing because you're coming back to work the next day and you're like dying. So trying to be, strategic about that. But like Jill said, still getting some kind of movement, because it's like you're going to be more sore if you sit around all day anyways, if you've been, working out the days prior. So I guess for me, that's usually like foam rolling or stretching, maybe yoga, and then usually like walking or getting outside. It's yard work or whatever, but trying to, at least stay moving in some way, shape, or form, although obviously in a way lesser extent of intensity wise.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I think too, we're kind of the exception to the rule, as we are with a lot of these videos, because this is our job, and I normally wouldn't work out the way that I do just because I work. That's my job. But I think in an ideal situation, I think working hard for 2 days in a row, building in a rest day or a recovery day on like that day 3, and then doing 2 other hard days in a row and a recovery day is kind of a good like 6-day range. In my life, it's like Monday through Friday of chaos, kind of. I shouldn't even say that. It's usually Monday through Thursday, because not even Sunday through Thursday. My schedule was before we closed. I couldn't even remember. On Fridays, I was taking off. And by Friday, I was so exhausted. I have to say, I wouldn't really do anything. In the summer, we would go for walks, but I wouldn't even do my own workout. I would sleep in. I'd be just horribly tired. And then Saturday was like housework and laundry and cleaning, and we'd go for a walk, and it was still considered a rest day for me because I only got 2. And I like that you had mentioned some of those other activities that could be considered, on a recovery day. You can do yoga, you can do, like a mental health recovery day with some meditation, getting outside, going for a walk. Right now, thinking about yard work and cleaning your house, and laundry, if you got stairs, things like that, all that stuff is really still considered like a good workout, even if you're going shopping, you're walking and hauling groceries. So I think we're way more active than we think we are if you start to consider all those things. So considering those as part of your recovery exercises too, just your kind of activities of daily living to support your household and your family, all still kind of count as your rest days. So the thing that I want to kind of touch base on here, there's like 2, again, we found these online, all readily accessible to you too. We know a lot of this information, but it is nice when it's put down into words that I can read to you smoothly most of the time. Sometimes I stumble over my own tongue, but hopefully today will be better than the last one we did, right? Where I couldn't even pronounce the right words. So kind of more talking about like recovery, like a day or 2 off per week is required to allow bone, muscle, tendons, and ligaments the time to recover and repair themselves. So like on a workout aspect, you want to be able to repair your body. Otherwise, overtraining, you're going to be constantly sore. That's when injury is going to come into play. What I did find was interesting, which I know, but not on a daily basis do I remind like our clients or participants of this, is that muscle growth occurs during your rest period, not actually during your exercise. You put in the work through your exercise, and your rest and recovery is where you reap those benefits and you get those gains. So is there anything that you guys want to make on those comments for that? Well, it's kind of what we just said too, 1 to 2 days off a week is required to help kind of with that. Any other thoughts? Like to get through this, because I did tell them I had like 6 pages of information to share with you guys, and they're like, what? Don't worry, I write really big. So number 2 on here was it helps keep you healthy, avoids the risk of immune response being compromised due to overtraining. So a lot of things, this is not really a topic that we discussed, but as I say, it would probably be a good one, is talking about overtraining, the symptoms of overtraining, what that can cause, which is not good at all. If you feel like you're in a plateau, that could be a cause of overtraining. If you're just like working out so much and not changing anything, I feel like my body is currently in overtraining mode, to be honest with you, most of the time. But it does put your immune system at risk. So you're more likely to get sick. And I wouldn't say I'm sick a lot by any means. It kind of comes in phases. I would like to think I'm fairly healthy for as much as we work out, because it's kind of like that happy medium of like you're working out enough to stay healthy, but if you overdo it, you can then compromise your immune system, and really your body's working so hard to recover and repair you, like that immune system gets dropped. So what do we think about that?
I think it's a good reminder. So I think for some people, like, we think we need to work out X amount of time to be healthy or whatever. But realizing that like part of being healthy is also building in those times for rest and recovery, and not just focusing on the workout part, but like the sleep and the nutrition and the rest that comes along with that to kind of balance it out, I think.
I think what's interesting with this too, for me, kind of touching on that overtraining, which is kind of a sidestep. This is mostly to say like, keeping your immune system up by adding in those rest days. But since I've been home, I have to say like a difference in my workouts. Like I don't feel exhausted. I don't feel fatigued. I feel almost fresh, like for every workout that we come back to, which is a really new feeling for me, because I never knew what it was like to come in fresh from a workout where you weren't already exhausted from the day before. So that's been kind of a breath of fresh air, I think, for me, is that I feel like I can do more. I can lift more weights. I can do more of that than I could before. So if you're in that zone of feeling like you need to work out like 4 hours a day to be, the weight you want to be or have the muscle mass you want to have, it's not always necessarily the case. Sometimes less is more in some of those situations. I feel like my strength gains, Ashley's been pushing me here since I've been at home, have been better since I've been home. Doing, weights with 15 pounds is not something I ever would have done while I was teaching a class. While at home, I'll reach to those at any time, and it's fine, and I can make it through my reps. So that's encouraging too. So moving on to our number 3, helps you sleep. So adequate sleep allows the mind to repair itself and develop new connections, which are useful when learning new skills and adaptations. I know we had a sleep video, and I'm sure that like 80% of our population does not get enough sleep. That's just kind of the reality of it. Or on average, you don't maybe get enough sleep. I feel like sleep is really important. This week, I focused a little bit more on my sleep. I know I had the sleep video. I was saying I couldn't like go to bed until like midnight. I wasn't being able to sleep. And now by like 10:30, I'm like falling asleep. I'm back to my normal kind of routine a little bit. I have been getting up a little earlier with anticipating getting back to work and having my alarm have to go back off at like 4:30 is what my brain is kind of thinking of. Plus it's getting light out, which is great. Gets me out of bed much earlier, as well as my birds. It's been waking them up almost 2 hours early. So that's been a good alarm clock too. How do you guys feel about this sleep? Adequate sleep allows the mind to repair itself and develop new connections.
Yeah, I think especially when you're learning, like maybe you're learning new exercises or trying a new class, like how important it is for I mean, you think about it with school or with studying anything, like you need that time for your brain to actually like make those connections and actually help you to remember it. And same thing like with your brain to your muscles, like your muscle's not going to remember what it did if you're not ever letting it rest and like actually build those connections. So
yeah, I think too, like for me, when I was extra tired and our schedules were kind of crazy, I can kind of describe it like to a zombie mode. Like you're walking in, it's your routine, you're exhausted, but you have to go teach this class. And I think that's sometimes when accidents happen too. Like maybe your grip isn't as strong on those weights, or maybe your coordination with the step aerobics class isn't quite there and you like stumble and you don't lift your feet up as much, that kind of sluggish state. So being alert and aware of what you're doing during exercise and workouts is extremely important to avoid that injury too. So I think that that's really good. Jill, do you have anything to add on the sleep side?
No.
Lowers your stress. This is number 4. So proper rest and recovery will help lower your stress levels. It decreases the abnormal levels of cortisol, which is our stress hormone. This will also allow more alertness, productivity, and general health to be maintained. So, yeah, I agree with that. I think that's another common side effect of like overtraining too. So is stress, and which in turn turns to weight gain when it's a vicious cycle. Anyway, so sticking back to this one here, lowers your stress levels. So do we have any comments on that?
I think the only thing would be, and I think Jill talked about it in one of our other videos, is like just making sure that you're not using that as like a coping mechanism for like stress or anxiety, because yes, we need adequate sleep, but at the same time, if we're like using sleep to like deal with our stress, that's not really helpful.
Healthy either. Yeah. I think if I can compare this on a way that once I've had my 2 rest days, when I would come back to the gym on Sunday to do mini trampoline, I was way more excited to be there. So my alertness was way higher. My productivity, I feel like the class, I was very motivated. I really wanted to work hard. It was my first workout of the week, kind of set my my intentions and like my energy for the rest of the classes that I had. So I feel like that kind of helped me. But by Wednesday, Thursday, I was spent. I wasn't as excited to step into a class and teach because I was already exhausted. And having the stress of knowing like, oh my God, I have another class to teach. So, and you don't have that break, it's kind of a mental game too, but I do agree with that. I'm so glad I shut the door to my bird room today. You guys would be like hearing them sing like they were in the rainforest right now. It's pretty crazy. That's what happens when you add number 6 to your flock. All right, so number 5, moving on here. So more energy throughout the day. Adequate rest helps you avoid energy slumps during your day, ensuring that workouts are more effective and efficient. I kind of just, I guess, summed that up too, with saying that's how I felt coming back after my first day.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that like working out periodically throughout the day also gives you more energy throughout your day. You're more motivated, you're more moving, you're more alert. So I think that's kind of a double-edged sword a little bit, that the rest days do that for you too. But I also think actually working out does that for you as well. What do you guys feel?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so too, because like when quarantine all started, like I was very gung-ho, morning workout, get it done, do it all in the morning, but then midday, afternoon, I just feel my energy kind of like depleting and I wouldn't want to do anything else. So I've kind of shifted my schedule around, changed it. So now I do my workouts in the afternoon and I do feel like I have a lot more energy after it and I don't feel so, tired and like want to just sit on the couch. And I actually am productive after and do stuff around my house. I get my dishes done. But yeah, I think it does help with that energy level.
How about you, Ashley?
Yeah, I think both of them are valid points. I mean, obviously, if you're, working out too much, just like with the overtraining, like that's gonna make your workouts less effective and it's gonna take more time too. But plus, I think, if you're adding in those, more efficient type of workouts, you're not exhausted because you didn't just work out for 3 hours, or you didn't like put so much pressure on yourself to get it all done in the morning or all done in the evening. Like you're able to more maintain those levels, I think, throughout your day.
Very good. Number 6 here, it helps boost our brain function and allows a better concentration and focus. Again, that kind of goes back to like our first workout of our week. We're feeling really fresh and feeling like we want to be there, opposed to class number 20 of the week and you're like, oh, I can't wait till this is over. But I do feel like that is a true statement too. How about you guys? I know it's hard. It's hard to compare because we consider it still, even though we love our jobs, we still consider it work. And so like we don't have a choice. And so my brain going into a class is always, it's just what I have to do. It's my job duty. I love to teach and it's just that step throughout the day. I have not been as disciplined at all in my entire life about having my own workout. So when Ashley mentions like, oh, doing your own workout on the weekend, I've never done that. So when this quarantine hit and I was like, oh my gosh, I missed working out at 7 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning to really boost my day because it woke me up. I forced myself to get into that habit here and I really struggled. I just couldn't do it. And now I've gone more towards like afternoon workouts because I have all the time in the world, right? Like later morning is really ideal for me because I can still sleep in. But I think like getting those workouts done for me in the morning helps me stay more focused throughout my day for sure. But also, I think those coming back in fresh off of a weekend, I think we can all say that for just our jobs and our life in general, that after you have your weekend, you're like just rejuvenated, you're rested, you're happy. And then you're like, oh, I can tackle Monday just a little bit better than I could have, it was a constant week, like straight through. So the reason why my thing is 6 pages long here is the next one that I thought was kind of interesting as I was doing more research is there's 7 essential elements of rest and recovery, which I kind of wanted to go over as well. Some of these will be redundant, but there was just some good highlight points in here. So number 1 off of our 7 essential elements was sleep. So just kind of going through their bullet points here, and we can branch off if we would like to. Hours slept before 12 at night are proven to be more efficient than those slept after, which I found was interesting too. I do feel like if I fall asleep before midnight, like 9:30 to 10 is really ideal for me. I sleep better throughout the night. And I can just say that now within the last 2 weeks, I've really noticed that difference for myself of going to bed after midnight. I didn't feel as well rested. How do you guys kind of feel about that? I know that you probably have a fairly straight routine with going to bed, but not Ashley so much right now. So I don't know. I feel like since the 3 of us are morning people, we probably aren't generally staying up past midnight. True statement.
No.
So
except for when I fall asleep at 7 p.m. and like for 2 hours, and then I kind of have to stay awake for a little bit. Otherwise, I'll be up at like 3. But, that's not typical. Well, yours is, and it's hard. This is a different scenario too, because I'm sure a lot of us at home are taking more naps throughout the day potentially. Your sleep schedule is so messed up right now because maybe you don't have to get up in the morning anymore, and you're able to sleep until 8, 9 o'clock where you would normally be getting up at 6. So generally, that awake time is going to put you later into the evening anyway because you are sleeping later. A good example would be Justin, who sleeps, he gets home from work at 6 a.m. and stays up for probably about an hour, and then he sleeps till like 2 maybe. And then obviously he's up because that's kind of where he's at. But he does not get good sleep at all. And now even less now that we got the other bird. So poor guy.
But that's okay. The next one on our bullet point here was sleep is the most natural setting possible with minimal to no artificial lights, like your best possible reset position of neutral for your brain. I did like this one, wake up with the sun if possible. That's what I've been doing lately. Another thing on here was fresh air and cooler temperatures help to improve the quality of sleep. Who sleeps with a fan? Yeah,
I don't own
summers
one,
that.
but I
What
should
was that?
I said I don't own one, but I should get one because we don't have air conditioning. So
I don't have air conditioning either. I have a ceiling fan. I do like being cooler to sleep.
though. Like I have the thermostat set to like go down like 2 degrees at like 10.
That's good. I think that's a very common thing that people do generally sleep better when they're cooler. To be wrapped up in bed and really warm, and they might have a window open, which after having a window open with that fresh air, it's quite ready for me to start leaving my window open at night. Not quite.
Like 35.
Yeah, my window would be open, but and I love the old house, but the windows need to be replaced. And so if the wind takes my window the right way, I'm afraid it's going to rip it off my house because the crank doesn't work, and I have a little thing on it I have to pull it shut with. So, all that little ways to get creative with your homes. Otherwise, my window would be open a lot more. Yeah, so that was our number one thing on our essentials for sleep. Number 2 is hydration, again, which I think is really important. My first thing that I've noticed with dehydration is feeling tired. That's like that first sign of dehydration. Water is the best way to stay hydrated. So obviously reach to plain water first. That's just our recommendation. It's not a requirement. The next thing on here is sports drinks, which we've talked about these. Wow, like 7 weeks ago, I think we talked about different ways for our hydration. That's really depressing. Sports drinks are only needed for before, during, and after strenuous training sessions. It says don't drink them simply because they taste good.
Sugar.
This is just a recommendation. If you're really loving Gatorade and Powerade, more power to you. I'm not telling you that you can't drink it. It's not really something that I reach to at all. On rare occasion, I might have it, like if I'm sick, obviously I'm super dehydrated, I need those electrolytes and things like that, but I don't think it tastes good, so I don't really lean to that. This was another one I found was interesting. Flavorings in water, we have so many options like that at the store right now too, and Crystal Light and any other additives simply give your system more to process and cause it further strain. Stick to adding just lemon or lime. I kind of liked that statement, I guess. I don't use flavorings. I don't use Crystal Light, but I know a lot of clients have asked me about those things, if that's okay to put in their water because they don't like the taste of regular water, and that allows them to drink more and stay hydrated throughout the day instead of drinking like soda and other things like that. I did like how it worded though, like it just simply gives your system more to process and causes further strain, and that for some reason that wording kind of connected with me yesterday when I read it, which is why I wanted to share some of this. So try to drink as much plain water as you can. Those additives aren't horrible, but still not highly on that list. For you guys with hydration, I know Ashley, you're probably just straight water, right? You don't add anything to it, anything like that?
Right. We get like LaCroix or sparkling water for like whenever, but that's mostly just so that I don't have to buy pop or other drinks.
Mm-hmm. Do you put like lemon or lime in your water, or mint, or any fruit or things like that? Tea bags? Have you done anything like that to kind of switch up your water?
I've done like different fruits and stuff, but I love water. I don't know. As long as it's not like warm.
Yeah.
I could drink a ton of water. I don't know.
So Jill, same thing for you? You just like plain water? Do you have any additives to it that you like?
I like adding lemon and lime. Just a little bit of citrus. I do like that. And I have a water bottle that has like an infuser, so you can shove it full of your lemons and then put your water in there. But I don't like it with any other fruit. I don't know. I tried it with like strawberries and kiwi, and then it just turned to mush and it got into the water and I didn't like it. So I just stick with the lemon and lime.
I use just tea bags sometimes too, and I don't actually like steep them in hot water and then ice it. I just put a tea bag in cold water and I can leave it in there all day, like with green tea, or I really like the pomegranate and like raspberry for just a little bit like more tart kind of flavor too, which really helps me. It's not sweet by any means, but if you're a big tea drinker and you want a simple, easy way to kind of have your own iced tea, you don't necessarily have to steep it. Just leave it in there. I leave it in mine in there like all day, actually. So that's probably the only additive I use. I don't mind lemon and lime. It's not my first go-to in water, I guess. I think it's a good idea, and then I'll buy like a big bag of lemons, and then they just go bad. So I think it's a waste for me. I just don't reach towards that. So, yeah. Number 3 is going to be nutrition, which Ashley mentioned a little bit earlier. A couple bullet points on that one was create a meal plan and shop ahead of time for the week. Have healthy snacks readily available that you enjoy. Plan ahead for dinner. Like by helping yourself picking out a place that you're going to eat beforehand. I thought that was going somewhere else. I didn't think they were going to advocate going out. But yeah, if you are going out to eat or getting like takeout, obviously plan those things ahead of time. Look at the menus beforehand and kind of know what you want to get. A lot of places now have their calorie counts on there, things like that too, which is, talk about depressing. That really makes me think twice about ordering something too when you find out that it's like 1,600 calories for like one portion of something and you're like, that's over my whole day. Yeah, like nutrition is kind of a huge thing. So again, you know, helping with that rest and recovery too. And I know we've talked about meal planning before and like logging your food and all that kind of stuff. So we don't really have to necessarily go through that again, but anything you guys want to mention on nutrition?
No, just what you said reminded me of like, we talked about this in my nutrition class in college, and it was like, my professor says something like the portion size you get at like Olive Garden or whatever is like 10 servings of like what you would normally make like at home.
Yeah. I used to really like Olive Garden. I haven't been there in a very long time. And I used to just be like, you know, a fettuccine Alfredo kind of person, which is horrible. But I loved their mushroom ravioli because I really do like mushrooms. And it was actually a smaller portion. It was probably still like maybe 2 servings, but it only had, I was very depressed at the time. It only had like 8 raviolis. It's all and it was so good. So I started ordering things that were smaller instead of getting a big bowl of something. It was like, you know, it was a more expensive meal, but and less of it, but that seemed to be helpful to me. But it didn't make it any more helpful when you ate like 2 baskets of breadsticks to yourself with that. So, you know.
Yeah.
That's when I struggled. But like I said, I haven't been at Olive Garden in a very long time. But that is very opening, I think, to realize we're getting a little kind of segue here off topic, but I think in our society now too, we want to get our money's worth, right? That's a lot of what we think. And so if you got a portion that was the right portion and it was still $10, you'd be like, what is this? Like, this is all I get. But remembering too, like you can take those portions home with you, like box right away with you and take it half off your plate, put it in there and like make sure that you bring it home. All those kind of things I think that to me is just crazy. As soon as you start looking at serving sizes and portions, I get so sad. I made noodles yesterday. I will say they're horrible for you. The little bag of noodles that's like $1 at the store right now, it was horrible. It was tasted so good. It brought back memories. My grandpa used to make them for me when I was a kid, and so I got a little, you know, teary-eyed making Parmesan noodles yesterday. Anyway, 2 servings in that bag, and it was gone like that, and it was like 700 calories. So good thing I didn't eat anything else really that day. I was good with that, but I think really watching those portion sizes is definitely an eye-opener. But getting back on track here, about that little segue. Posture, number 4. Keep a chair that is ergonomically correct. If you've been into our office, we have a stability ball chair,
saddle
stool, you know, those weird chairs that not normal people would probably want to sit in. even at the front desk, I know April has her like stability ball chair too that has like a full stability ball, where mine is just a half topped one. If you struggle with sitting upright, use a foam roller or a ball in your back to give you a tactile cue to help force good posture. And posture is really kind of a huge thing. Don't lean to one side. I'm so guilty of that. Or on an object, or for supporting yourself while you're standing. So shoulders
I always stick my right hip out when I stand. It's just
natural. Yeah.
Actually,
so
mine's the left.
habit.
Mine's the left too.
I do left. Yeah. And my left is a tight hip.
So again, this sounds odd because we're still talking about like rest and recovery, but these are like the essential things to help with that too. Stretching, include, and we went through one of our other videos here, so I'm not going to go too in depth on this one. Include dynamic stretching with your warm-ups while saving the static stretching for after your workouts. We had the definition for those two in our other video. Static stretching is holding that stretch for a longer period of time, where our dynamic stretching is kind of a stretch and like moving through the motion, considering kind of like a walking lunge idea. Or attend a yoga class. So anything you guys want to add to the stretching side?
No.
This is just review. We're good. Get on to your page 5. I think Ashley will be able to branch off a little bit more on this one, and if she doesn't, I'm going to force her to. Myofascial release. Those of you that don't know what that is, that's foam rolling. Tight muscles and trigger points sometimes need assistance to return to normal tissue. I think all of us know foam rolling as, ow! At least I do. It hurts. It hurts.
I need to like practice more with it.
So Ashley, I'm just going to let you kind of take this one away here, because I know I've seen some people use the foam roller at the Y. We do get a lot of questions about it. I know you use it quite often. Yeah, so I'm just going to let you kind of branch off on that, some of the benefits, kind of getting your experience with it, and maybe just encouraging people to try using one, even though it hurts so good, maybe. I don't know.
It does hurt so good. And I think you have to implement it incrementally. You know, you can't just like do your whole body for like 30 minutes. Well, you probably wouldn't last that long, let's be honest. But just starting with, you know, like one area that, you know, is pretty sore, and taking like 30 seconds to just roll back and forth. I mean, you can think of it, it's like a self massager, which I know sounds kind of weird, but it gives you that ability to apply pressure to those points that you normally can't really get to yourself. And with like rest and recovery of your muscles, you know, it's kind of along the same lines of stretching, I would say, but it does allow you to get to like those trigger point type of things. So where, like what we talk about when you build muscle, is you basically rip your muscle and then it comes back together stronger. But sometimes what happens is you get scar tissue in there, and then that is uncomfortable, and then you get knots or trigger points, or whatever you want to call them. So foam rolling actually allows you to like go over that spot and to like actually flush it out. And so you're going to feel, if you do it consistently, you're going to feel like that spot isn't as sore, and that you're able to gain even some flexibility for people. I mean, I think it depends on the person in the area and like how tight it is too, but like I've seen that with people that I've worked with foam rollers, like even improving their flexibility as a result of using foam rolling or some kind of, like I worked at a chiropractic clinic before too, and another good one is like using lacrosse balls or tennis balls. You can really get into those like smaller areas, like your shoulder blades and things like that. But I think it's for everybody, but again, you have to start small with it. Even using it on the wall or using it on a chair, so you're not like down on the floor using all of your body weight, helps too. Because like I know for me especially, I use it a lot when I'm running, and like sometimes my calves or my IT bands, like I can't even do them because they're so sensitive to the touch. But like putting it on a wall, or even being able to, you know, prop yourself up with your hands a little bit more and relieve some of that pressure, where you're still getting, you know, the motion, and you're still getting some pressure on the muscle, but it's not your entire body weight where you're like cringing the whole time. Because it's the same thing with stretching. Like if you go past the point of your stretch, and it's like super uncomfortable and painful, you're probably going to hurt yourself. And if you're foam rolling and it's super painful and you can like, you're going to start crying, like that's too much. Like you hurt yourself and it's not going to be beneficial. But it's not super scary. I don't know if people have that like notion about it. And there's also different kinds of foam rollers too. So the ones at the Y, we have some pretty soft ones that I would say like people starting out with would feel more comfortable using. I have like really, really hard ones. It's like I would not give to someone who's never done it before because they would not be very comfortable. But
then they have like knobs and stuff on them too, which are not.
Just start with a flat one that's a little bit squishy. It's not super dense.
I think what I kind of like about experimenting more with foam rolling is that it kind of feels like a workout at the same time, because you do have to balance. You do have to, if you're supporting your body weight with your hands, I mean, you're doing shoulder work as well, and coordination. So, I mean, that's kind of huge. And still doing, Jill laughs. She's like, that's why I don't use a foam roller. And you're still like working your core because you have to hold yourself upright to be on that. So I think it's kind of a package deal more than you think. You think that you're so distracted by the pain in your glutes that you're rubbing, you kind of forget about your obliques are activated and your shoulders activated and you're moving back and forth and you're crying at the same time. Just kidding. That might just be my own experience. But I think that that's, you know, and even when you have both legs on it, like when you're doing your hamstrings and your calves, supporting your body weight with your hands and working those shoulders is kind of like, I mean, that's a lot of work too in itself. So I think that kind of makes it kind of scary sometimes too, because maybe you don't know how to modify to only use one leg at a time and support your body weight or whatever. But I think this was a plan of mine when Ashley came on board, because she did have so much experience with this, is to potentially offer just a foam rolling class down the road, just to kind of send some educational stuff out there, and maybe even maybe we need to have more of a myofascial foam rolling video just in itself of getting some comments back from people to how many have foam rollers at home. Maybe this is something that we could do while we're at home here for you guys too. So if you do start to cry or scream or yell, you can do it in the privacy of your own home, and you don't have to do it in a class of 8 to 10 people. So next on our list here is number 7. So this is the 7th one here. Heat, ice, and compression. And we all know that if you have an injury, these are the things that you do to reduce like any inflammation. Yes, helping with that recovery. I'm horrible with all 3 of these. I don't like ice. I don't like to be cold. And heat is okay, I guess. And I don't like things too tight. So really not in my wheelhouse, but I didn't mean to sound like Goldilocks, because nothing makes me happy there. Too cold, it's too tight. Okay. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do these things. You should definitely do these things, like if you have any injuries. I should have had Justin as our guest today, because he is all about recovery stuff. That boy's best friend is an ice pack. So, you know, not so much since he's been home. He hasn't been like working out to the point of get hurt all the time. But when we were at the gym, he was there all the time, like hours a day. So he was constantly sore. So how do you guys feel about heat, ice, and compression?
I don't mind it. I don't use it. Like we have a massager, like the gun ones that are like you can really get it going, like kind of the only thing I use. Otherwise,
is it like a percussion massager?
Mm-hmm.
We have one of those too. Talk about making them cry.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you do that, but you can't foam roll.
Especially on your glutes. Oh my gosh, I will cry.
I think the reason I do the massager over the foam roller is that I actually have to do the foam roller myself, just the massager. I just have to lay there.
Yep.
So you're just being lazy. I said, so you're just being lazy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So Ashley, how do you feel about your heat, ice, and compression?
Great.
Great. Huge fan of icing and compression.
I mean, I think they all have their place. I'm not going to say like I personally use them on a super regular basis because I also don't want to be at the point where I need to use them on a regular basis, because to me, that's telling me that there's something wrong with my body, or my body's telling me that there's something wrong with it and I need to like address that, which like I don't want that to happen very often. But I mean, I've had plenty of injuries, especially through like high school. And ice was like definitely a go-to, and I also skate, so I like being cold apparently. But I think just for like people's knowledge, for like any inflammation, like you always want to go to ice first. I think sometimes that's a questionable thing, is like, do I heat or do I ice? And like first day or two, you always want to ice first. But I think if you're having more of like maybe like back spasms or like that kind of thing where it's like super just like muscular, like heat, at least for me, has always been more helpful. I have like a lavender rice pack, which I don't, again, use super often, but I don't have like a heating pad or anything. That's probably what I would go to. Like even like with pregnancy, I've had like some more like back things that I'm like, it's not because I did something wrong, like lifting or something, but I can tell that my muscle is like not happy and not cooperating. And so that might be something I turn to a little bit more. Compression, I really only use that for like ankle injuries, which I've had a lot of, just to help push the swelling up, especially when it's like in your extremities, like you want to push it back up towards your heart to flush it out. But I've been told though with pregnancy, like compression socks is a big thing, because a lot of times people will get like less blood flow to their legs and stuff, but it's like warm out now, so I'm not going to be sporting any compression
socks.
Maybe if it was the winter and no one could see them, I would. I think I still have them for my ankle surgery, but I don't know. Some people wear like, I've seen even these like machines where you literally like go in it and it fills with air and it like compresses like your whole body.
Wow.
Like you look like the Michelin Man.
Wow. All these technology things. So heat, ice, I was going to say ice. Wow. Heat, ice, and compression. I knew she was going to say there's a time and place for all of them. That's why I kind of laughed. And then I thought like my favorite that is not on this list would be elevation. Who doesn't love to lay in bed with their feet up? That's totally my goal. So I think you should consider that as just as important as the rest of these, especially if your feet are swollen. I'm sure like Ashley, you've probably been kicking your feet up too here towards the end with your feet, ankles and stuff like that, especially if you're on your feet all day. I know I did have some foot issues, I guess, with my job, always being on my feet and stuff like that. I feel very fortunate. I haven't struggled with like plantar fasciitis much for considering like what I do. But every once in a while I do have some foot pain because I'm nonstop on my feet. And now that I've been home, I'm like nonstop on my feet in bare feet, which is probably like the worst thing that you can possibly do. So I think elevation is always kind of good as well, and releasing all of that stuff off of your feet and your ankles. Anything else that we want to add here to these 7 essentials? Some good things. To round this out here, it says dedicating additional time primarily to the 3 categories of sleep, hydration, and nutrition will increase your output ability, decrease recovery time, and lower your risk of injury. So I think that's really important, making sure that you're getting enough sleep, making sure that you're staying as hydrated as you possibly can, and just eating right. Those are all things that are, I think, put into our head since we were very little. So just like washing your hands, right? We should all be doing that. We should always have been doing that. That's all I'm going to say about that. I know all you guys are like, I know. There's still people that don't wash their hands. Anyway, so focusing on that sleep, your nutrition, and your hydration are like the first top 3 things that you should be doing. Obviously, heat, ice, and that compression, if you have an injury, are going to be your go-to things there. Foam rolling is another good option too, once you do have a little bit of tightness, to help prevent that with the stretching. So I think kind of as we go back and just recap this just briefly. I know that those 3 essentials in the beginning, like I said, was sleep, nutrition, and hydration. And then the other ones on the end to me seem more like preventatives, as well as once, you maybe hit that pain stage or sore muscles or something like that, more of a recovery and preventative. So posture, stretching, your foam rolling, and then the ice, heat, and compression. So I think that was pretty well rounded. That's why I had 6 pages, because I liked that it kind of went through of like even what to do, like once you feel like, oh, I need this recovery. Now, what do I do once I recover? So yeah, I think that was, I learned some new things. You guys learned that I don't like heat, ice, or compression. What's the little like analogy for that?
Well, it's not that, but it's rice, rest, ice, compress, elevate.
Oh, elevate. See, I knew elevate was somewhere. Anyway. Yeah. So anyways, if you guys would like to leave us some comments below, let us know if you learned anything new, if you like our wellness talk still, and yeah, just give us any information. If you have questions about like the foam rolling, if you watch this whole video and you say you have a foam roller and you want some more information, please let us know that as well, because then we can absolutely do another video. Ashley can do a video about foam rolling. I'm sure I'll have a meeting or something that day that I have to sit into, so bummer. Don't forget to like, share, comment, hit that subscribe button if you already haven't on our YouTube channel. You guys follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Again, share our videos. This might help somebody else right now that might need to use some heat, ice, or compression. Right? Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Get outside, get some activity, and do one of our videos. Leave us a like. We'll see you later. Bye.